Pasta e fagioli was my favorite dinner when I was a little boy, and actually I was so keen to have it that it was my birthday meal. And today I will be making pasta e fagioli, but also I will be combining it with lentils. These are our fresh borlotti beans, and fagioli, by the way, is beans, of course. And this pergola is what I built for Julie back in February. And these are absolutely beautiful. Look, they are marvelous. And when I built the pergola, this is exactly what I had in mind. Beautiful fagioli coming down, and they are really, really nice. And I'm picking the really good ones for today's dinner. What I mean by good ones, they're all good, but the really red ones.
Yeah,
because
they're fresh.
They're fresher. And if you look, some of them have gone grey, which is also perfect for storage. We will
Like
dry
these.
those.
They're drying out, ready. Ooh.
Yep. Ready for the freezer eventually.
You can see they'll dry out and we can keep them for the winter. But when they're nice and red, like he's picking, or like this one down here, look, they're fresh ones to eat now.
Yeah, let me show you the inside so you can see what I mean by being absolutely beautiful. I open one up, look, they're beautiful and big, and they will taste wonderful. I think one more and I will be done. This is a dish which will comprise mostly of stuff from our garden. Julie earlier picked some tomatoes and also some basil. There is other stuff in here which I will not need today, but look how beautiful this is. And this reminds me of when I was very young, and I went to stay in a little village called Salice di Messina, which is northeast of Catania. And Messina is where you get the boat to go to mainland Italy. And I went to visit my mum's uncle and his family, and they've got lots of animals, and they were almost, well, I would say self-sufficient. They've got a little farm, and they live in this place where it's up in the mountains, and they very much live from anything that the land provides. They knew I loved beans, and they took me one morning to collect the beans. It was towards the end of the summer, and I remember going home at their house with these 3 bags, white bags, absolutely chocker with these sort of beans, and they're making pasta fagioli, making fagioli stock and soup. They even made a frittata with fagioli. Maybe actually I'll make it on the channel. Let me know if you'd like me to make it. And it was so beautiful because they were fresh. So one particular dish that they made though was the combination of fagioli and lentils, because they knew I loved lentils too. And that is what I will be replicating today. All I need now is to collect some carrots and some leafy greens, and then I'll see you in the kitchen. But maybe I'll show you where the carrots are. These are Julie's pride and joy, and look at this one. Isn't that beautiful? So I'll just take 3, or they're very little, maybe 4. And let's go and get some leafy greens. I will be getting some chard today, and maybe also some spinach, because I will be combining lots of various vegetables to make this beautiful dish.
You don't want any parsnip?
I don't need it today. And look how beautiful these are. They've been here all summer, and we've been feeding ourselves with chard all throughout the summer. I'm gonna get, I don't need a lot again, because it's just Julie and I, but whenever I make pasta and fagioli, I always make more, because obviously then I eat it the day after, and the day after, and the day after that. So just enough for a few days. I'll just get one more, and I'm done. And I'll see you in my favorite room, the kitchen. And I am back. So you see me chopping a few vegetables, and you've seen them. I chopped them very small, and there's quite a lot in there. But the beauty of this recipe is that it's really, really simple, and it's just a matter of throwing everything together into stages. I'll quickly run you through the ingredients though. So here are my fresh borlotti beans, which I've peeled, and they are 300 grams in weight, by the way. Earlier I soaked some lentils, 150 grams when they were dry. And that is the legumes done. So very finely chopped red onion or white. The carrots, you've seen them. These are celery, one stick of celery, again very finely chopped, and also one red pepper, or you can use a green or orange pepper, whatever you have. This is different. This is a sweet potato, again chopped in little pieces. And the reason why I'm opting for a sweet potato rather than a normal potato is because of the sweetness, of course. And we'll also release some starches and it'll make it nice and creamy. Large clove of garlic, which I've chopped in little pieces. Bay leaf, important in this recipe. Loads of basil. Chopped tomatoes. And on the spices front, I've got some black pepper. Chili flakes, very optional. I'll be using a little. It gives a nice little kick. Salt, of course, and I think that is pretty much it. Pepper and olive oil, and of course my greens. This is the chard that I picked earlier, and I'll be chopping it later. I didn't have enough space on my board, so let's make a start. Olive oil in a saucepan. Mine is a cast iron one, but you can use a normal one, of course. I'll wait until the oil gets to temperature and I'll start adding my ingredients. I always start with the onions first, followed by my pepper and celery, carrots, sweet potato or normal potato, my very finely chopped garlic, bay leaf, salt to taste, and of course pepper to taste, a few chili flakes, and I'll stop for a moment and I'll mix everything together. And after a couple of minutes I can continue. So borlotti beans going next, followed by my lentils, which I've just drained. I'll turn the temperature up and I'm going to add a couple of glasses of water equivalent, like this. Ensure that you use cold water at this stage, by the way, otherwise your beans or lentils will split. And I'll turn the temperature up and I'll wait until it reaches the boil now. My temperature is on maximum and everything is beginning to boil beautifully. If you look, I'll turn it down onto medium-high and I will leave it to continue boiling for another 5 minutes until the water goes down in volume. During this time the lentils and the beans will be absorbing some of the flavor from the other ingredients, and I actually want them to starve a little bit from water. Here I've got space back now. I've chopped my chard, and by the way, you do not have to use fresh borlotti beans for this recipe. You can use the dry ones, but if you do ensure that you soak them overnight. Very, very important, at least for 8 hours, but just to follow the packaging instructions in the packaging, and then they will be just almost as good as fresh, but do make sure that you soak them overnight. And if you look, the water level has gone down considerably and I'm ready to continue. So tomatoes and a good handful of basil goes in next, and I'll mix it once again and I'll see where the water level is now, which is good. So I've got a kettle full of hot water which I've just boiled, and this is okay now because everything is hot. So I'll start pouring water until I cover all of my ingredients, the very top of my ingredients, and I'll go a good couple of centimeters above, something like this. And here is my chard, which I've left for last so that I can regulate the level of the water, and I can go in last. You can also of course use any leafy greens. You don't have to use chard or spinach, whatever you have available. And I'll place the lid back on, and within a couple of minutes my greens will reduce dramatically. And let's take a look. So as you can see, they have shrunk considerably. I'll give everything one final mix. I'll turn the temperature down on medium-low, number 4 out of 9. If you've got a gas hob, by the way, turn it just below the minimum. And this will continue cooking now for a good hour, 1 hour. Lid on, and then I'll show you what to do next. See you later. Bye. And as you will have gathered, I've made a fairly large batch, so I will only be cooking the pasta that we need for tonight. Little salt. In the UK the days are getting shorter, the weather is getting a little bit cooler in the evening, so this is a beautiful and warming dish. And my choice of pasta today is macaroni, and these are different to normal macaroni. I spotted them in the supermarket the other day. Look, they are considerably bigger, so I'm quite keen. Off they go. And I will ensure that I cook them all the way. They'll take about 7 to 8 minutes to be fully cooked. And of course you do not have to cook pasta, by the way. You can eat this as it is, straight off the pot. Is cooked and it's beautiful, which is actually what I will be doing with the rest tomorrow and so on. But obviously tonight we are doing it with pasta, so I'm going to add some in here with the pasta which I just drained is cooked. I'm doing enough for both Julie and I, but I make sure that also I'll get some of the broth across. I reserved some basil earlier, so I'm going to be very, very generous, and in it goes now that it's cooked. I'll mix it in and I'll see what the level of my broth is like. I think I could do it a little more, so in it goes. There. And this is ready to be served. And it goes without saying that my portion is going to be absolutely massive. I really, really love this pasta. But before I tuck in, I need to add a little olive oil on top. This is absolutely imperative as it gives so much more flavor. Followed by a little shower of Parmigiano Reggiano or Grana or Pecorino, whatever you have, or any hard Italian cheese you might have in your house. And let's see what we have got here. Mix it together and try. Okay, a nice big bean in there. I think you know what I'm going to say. It's outstanding. The supremacy of simplicity. Try with beans and lentils combined like this, and as many vegetables as you can, obviously within reason. And if you are successful, I'm very, very pleased for you, and I'll be very glad for you to hold me responsible for that, but do not hold me responsible for the consequences afterwards. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed it, and if you have, subscribe to the channel, like the video, you will help me growing it, and see you later. Arrivederci. Bye.